Many different cultures believe in a frightening underworld that can be accessed from Earth. If these devilish tales are to be believed, then here are 15 places around the world where you can visit the gates of hell. The idea of Satan ruling over a fiery inferno has long seized our fantasies. Ancient civilizations didn't just stumble upon eerie caves, steaming fissures, or bottomless pits. They feared them from their heart. They built temples to keep whatever lurked inside from escaping, performed rituals to appease unseen forces, and whispered stories of people who walked in, but never walked out. From the legendary entrance to Hades in Greece to a cursed volcanic crater in Nicaragua, these spooky ancient places are believed to be gateways to hell. Number 15. Cape Matapan Caves. If you were an ancient Greek searching for the entrance to the underworld, Cape Matapan would have been at the top of your list. Located at the rugged southern tip of Greece, this ominous landscape is home to a network of deep, shadowy caves that were once believed to be an actual gateway to Hades. Greek myths say that Hercules entered these caves during one of his legendary labors, and Orpheus supposedly descended into the depths to rescue his wife from the underworld. This wasn't just a mythological setting. Real rituals took place here. Shrines to Hades and Persephone stood at the cave entrances, where priests and worshippers attempted to communicate with the dead. The caves themselves are eerie, twisting deep into the earth, reinforcing the belief that they led straight down to the realm of the dead. Even today, standing at their entrance, you can't shake the feeling that something is lurking just beyond the darkness. Number 14. Satan's Hollow. Cincinnati has its fair share of urban legends, but none are as infamous as Satan's Hollow, a drainage tunnel rumored to be a portal to hell itself. According to local lore, cultists once gathered here, performing dark rituals that either summoned a demon or accidentally tore open a gateway to something unholy. The tunnels are a maze of graffiti-covered passages, littered with inverted crosses, cryptic symbols, and chilling messages like, "Satan lives." But the real nightmare isn't the eerie artwork, it's what's said to be lurking inside. The most terrifying legend is that of the Shadow Man, a tall, pitch-black figure with glowing red eyes. Some claim he's a demonic guardian, a byproduct of the rituals performed here. Visitors report hearing guttural growls, whispers from unseen mouths, and even feeling unseen hands grab them. Some have fled gasping for air, convinced something tried to choke them. Just urban legend, or something waiting in the dark? Number 13. Masaya Volcano. When Spanish conquistadors arrived in Nicaragua in the 16th century, they took one look at Masaya Volcano and immediately labeled it the mouth of hell. And honestly, it's not hard to see why. This volcano isn't just active. It's home to a constantly bubbling lava lake, glowing like an infernal pit straight out of a nightmare. Long before the Spanish arrived, the indigenous people already considered Masaya sacred. They believed it was the dwelling place of a powerful goddess, and they offered sacrifices, some say even human ones, to appease her. But the Spanish weren't thinking about deities. A friar named Francisco de Bobadilla was so convinced the crater led to hell that he erected a giant cross near its edge, hoping to exorcise the place. Today, Masaya is a national park, and visitors can stand at the crater's rim, staring into its churning depths. But between the sulfurous gas, the glowing abyss, and the sheer force of nature on display, it's easy to understand why people once thought this was a direct doorway to the underworld. Number 12. Mount Osore. With a name that literally translates to Mount Fear or Mount Dread, it's no wonder Mount Osore has been considered a gateway to hell for over 1,000 years. Located in northern Japan, this volcanic region is a spiritual hotspot deeply rooted in Buddhist tradition, believed to be one of the entrances to the afterlife. The landscape is unsettling, a mix of boiling sulfur pits, barren wastelands, and a serene yet eerie lake that represents the Sanzu River, which spirits must cross after death. Every year, a festival is held where blind mediums, known as Itako, perform rituals to communicate with the dead, allowing grieving families to receive messages from lost loved ones. The air here is thick with the smell of sulfur. The ground is scorched and lifeless in places, and small Jizo statues, figures meant to protect the souls of children, dot the landscape. If there's anywhere in Japan where the living and the dead feel closest, Mount Osore is that place. Number 11. Mount Hekla. Iceland's Mount Hekla isn't just one of the country's most active volcanoes. It was once believed to be a literal entrance to hell. In the Middle Ages, legends spread that this fiery mountain was where damned souls were cast into eternal suffering. Monks in Europe even recorded that Judas Iscariot himself was imprisoned inside its depths, doomed to burn forever. Eruptions were thought to be the tortured screams of the damned, and locals whispered of witches and demons lurking around the crater. Some even claimed the birds circling overhead weren't birds at all, but souls of the dead, trapped between worlds. Though few take these stories literally today, Mount Hekla still feels ominous. Its violent eruptions and unpredictable nature make it one of the most dangerous volcanoes in Iceland. And whether you believe in the legends or not, one thing is certain: you don't want to be near it when it decides to wake up. Number 10. Fengdu Ghost City. Perched on Ming Mountain, Fengdu Ghost City has loomed over China for over 2,000 years, believed to be a real gateway to the underworld. This eerie site is packed with temples, shrines, and statues depicting the horrors of the afterlife, inspired by Chinese mythology. The belief is that souls must pass through Fengdu on their way to judgment, enduring a series of tests to determine their final fate. One of the most chilling landmarks is the Bridge of Helplessness, where souls must cross while judgment is passed on them. Fail, and you're hurled into the abyss. Even more unsettling is Tansy Palace, said to be the residence of the King of Hell himself. While Fengdu is a major tourist attraction, many report feeling an unexplainable energy, a lingering presence in a city that's been a portal to the underworld for centuries. Number 9. Black Prince Distillery. At first glance, the drains behind the abandoned Black Prince Distillery in New Jersey seem like nothing more than crumbling tunnels. But those who have ventured in claim there's something much more sinister hiding beneath the surface. Like Satan's Hollow, the walls are covered in eerie symbols and satanic graffiti. But the deeper you go, the stronger the feeling that you're not alone. The tunnels stretch hundreds of feet underground, stacked in layers like the circles of hell. Disturbingly, bones have been found scattered within. Some claim they belong to animals, others aren't so sure. But the most infamous legend? A hidden chamber, supposedly blocked by two massive axes that only those with the right powers can move. Inside, a glowing human skull is said to be the last warning before you come face to face with the devil himself. Well, real or not, people have vanished here, their last moments lost in the suffocating dark. Number 8. Waipio Valley. At first glance, Waipio Valley looks like a Hawaiian paradise. Lush greenery, cascading waterfalls, and mist-shrouded cliffs. But beneath its beauty lies something far more unsettling. Many locals believe this valley hides an entrance to Milu, the Hawaiian underworld. The most infamous legend centers around the Night Marchers, ghostly warriors who are said to roam the valley, especially after nightfall. These spectral soldiers are believed to be the spirits of ancient Hawaiian warriors marching in a terrifying procession. And if you happen to cross their path and look them in the eye, legend says they will drag you straight into the underworld. Waipio Valley is also home to ancient burial sites, and hikers and campers often report strange encounters, mysterious chanting, the sound of footsteps when no one is there, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched. Whether or not you believe in the legends, one thing is certain: YPO Valley has an atmosphere that feels charged with something far beyond the ordinary. Number 7. 7 Gates of Hell. Pennsylvania isn't exactly the place you'd expect to find a gateway to hell, yet the 7 Gates of Hell legend has been haunting Hellam Township, yes, that's its actual name, for decades. There are 2 main versions of the story, and neither of them ends well. One tale claims there was once an insane asylum deep in the woods. One night, a fire broke out, and in the chaos, several patients escaped into the surrounding forest. The asylum was supposedly enclosed by 7 gates, and anyone who passed through them was never seen again. Another version tells of a doctor who built the gates on his property and used them for dark experiments. The legend states that if you pass through all 7 gates, only possible at night, you'll find yourself in hell itself. While no one has ever confirmed the existence of the gates, plenty of people have ventured into the area and reported eerie whispers, shadowy figures, and an overwhelming sense of dread. Just a myth? Or is something waiting for those brave or foolish enough to seek it out? Number 6. Pluto's Gate. Pluto's Gate, an ancient ruin in modern-day Turkey, was once a temple dedicated to Pluto, the Roman god of the underworld. And it wasn't just symbolic. This place killed anything that got too close. Greek historian Strabo described it as a cave spewing toxic mist, so lethal that birds would drop dead mid-flight and animals would collapse within seconds. Priests led sacrificial animals inside as horrified spectators watched them perish. Strangely, the priests themselves would walk out unharmed. Supernatural powers? Not quite. Science later revealed that Pluto's gate sits on a geological fault line, releasing high concentrations of carbon dioxide. The gas is heavier than air, pooling at ground level and suffocating anything that breathes oxygen. The priests simply knew where to stand to avoid the fumes. Even today, researchers found the CO2 levels inside are still deadly. A real-life gateway to the underworld, or just ancient science? Number 5. Aktun Tunichil Muknal Cave. Deep in the Belizean jungle, there's a cave that feels like a place you shouldn't be. The ancient Maya certainly thought so. To them, Aktun Tunichil Muknal, or the Cave of the Stone Sepulchre, wasn't just a cave, it was a direct gateway to Xibalba, the underworld ruled by the Lords of Death. This wasn't a place for casual visits. Ceremonial pottery, blood sacrifices, and desperate prayers were left behind as offerings to appease unseen forces. Some people never made it out. The most famous remnant of this chilling past? The Crystal Maiden, the skeletal remains of a young woman whose bones have fused with the cave floor, giving her a shimmering, crystallized appearance. And she's not alone. Over a dozen human sacrifices remain untouched, left exactly as the Maya abandoned them centuries ago. Even today, walking through these chambers feels like trespassing on a sacred, haunted past. Number 4. Cenote Sagrado. The sacred cenote in Chichen Itza isn't just a beautiful sinkhole with shimmering blue water, it's an ancient portal to the underworld, or so the Maya believed. For centuries, they used it as a place of offerings and sacrifice, tossing in gold, jade, and human lives to appease Chak, the rain god. Some of the victims weren't just sacrifices, they were elite members of Mayan society, willingly or unwillingly sent to their gods. Archaeologists have dredged up thousands of artifacts from the cenote's depths, including elaborate jewelry, weapons, and eerily preserved human bones. The eerie part? Many of the skeletons show signs of ritual execution, suggesting their fate was sealed long before they hit the water. Even now, standing at its edge, it's impossible to ignore the feeling that something lingers beneath the surface. Maybe it's history. Maybe it's something else. Number 3. Avernus Crater. For the ancient Romans, this wasn't just another volcanic lake. It was the doorway to the underworld. Avernus crater, near Naples, got its name because birds wouldn't fly over it. Not a superstition. Toxic gases from the lake would kill them mid-flight. The legend runs deep. Virgil's Aeneid describes Avernus as the place where Aeneas descended into the underworld, guided by a priestess of the dead. At the lake's edge, the Romans built a temple to Apollo, where heroes would offer sacrifices before stepping into the unknown. But not everyone dared. The lake had a reputation so sinister that Romans refused to look directly at it, fearing it could steal their souls. Today, the waters are eerily still, the sulfuric air thick, and the ruins of the ancient temple still stand. Whether it's a real doorway to hell or just a natural death trap, it is creepy. Number 2. The Well of Souls. Beneath Jerusalem's Temple Mount, hidden from view, there's a cavern with a reputation older than most religions. The Well of Souls isn't just a name. Legend says this underground chamber holds the voices of the dead, waiting for the day of judgment. The acoustics in the cave create strange echoes, which visitors in ancient times believed were whispers from trapped spirits. Some thought it was a place where souls gathered before resurrection, while others believed it was a passage to the afterlife itself. The site is so shrouded in mystery that medieval Christians and Muslims both linked it to divine and supernatural events. People who step inside describe an unexplainable energy, a pressure in the air that makes your chest feel heavy. Maybe it's just history pressing down on you, or maybe, as legend says, it's something waiting just beneath the surface. Number 1. Lacus Curtius. Most people wandering through the Roman Forum have no idea they're walking over what was once believed to be a gateway to the underworld. The spot doesn't scream portal to hell, just a stone pit tucked away among ancient ruins. But Lacus Curtius has a dark story buried beneath it. According to legend, a mysterious chasm once split open here, threatening to swallow Rome whole. An oracle claimed the city could only be saved by offering its most valuable possession. A soldier named Marcus Curtius figured out the answer. Rome's strength was in its warriors. Without hesitation, he mounted his horse and rode straight into the abyss, sealing it with his sacrifice. The pit was later filled, but the site remains, marked by an ancient stone relief of Curtius in his final charge. To this day, some say the chasm was never truly closed. It's just waiting for the right moment to open again. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you very soon.